What's up, guys? I'm Chad Barnes, and welcome to the channel. Here, it's all about real car talk, from simple fixes to smart driving tips and keeping your ride in top shape. If that sounds good to you, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button, and make sure you watch all the way through. There's a lot of good stuff coming. Let's get to it.
The company at the time was fully immersed in the development of the Hornet, having spent $70 million shortly before to buy the loss-making Jeep division from Kaiser Motors. They needed an extremely compact car that could compete with the Chevrolet Vega, Ford Pinto, Toyota Corolla, Datsun 510 and the still relevant Volkswagen Type 1 Beetle. Due to the tightness of funds, an extremely American decision was made to create a new car on the basis of the Hornet, trimming all the unnecessary, that is, a pair of rear doors and a trunk. His vision of what would later be called the Gremlin, AMC chief designer Richard Dick Teague first depicted in 1966 on a package. For those who get motion sickness in an airplane, at an altitude of several tens of thousands of feet above the ground. As a result of the reconstruction, the wheelbase was reduced by 300 mm in comparison with the coplatformer, and the total length was reduced to 4,089 mm, which turned out to be only 50 mm longer than the Beetle and shorter than all other players in the segment. Despite its somewhat controversial, in the opinion of many, appearance, Gremlin hit the bullseye already at the idea stage. Its development cost a mere penny, it turned out to be 100% recognizable, and its functionality, packed into the size of a refrigerator box, put both local and overseas manufacturers to shreds. No one at AMC had any illusions, and the concept was described as succinctly as possible by Teague himself. Gremlin will definitely not win any design awards, but it has personality and character. It's not just another fun little sedan, it's a cute little station wagon that looks capable of doing exactly the job we have in mind for it. The marketing campaign, on the other hand, claimed that anyone who can afford a car can buy 2 miniature AMCs. At the output we have naked practicality embodied in metal with excessive rationality and own understanding of beauty. At the same time, the creators approached their creation with a weighty portion of self-irony, starting with the fact that the sketch on the vomit bag was officially involved in marketing activities, and ending with the fact that the presentation took place on April 1, 1970. Photo, Silodrome.com. As cheerful were the advertising brochures, and the appearance of the compact from AMC, unusual, exactly the same it was dull from the point of view of iron. While General Motors engineers were improving production processes and developing new materials, Gremlin offered a rear sofa for extra charge, 3-stage mechanics without synchronized first gear, drum brakes all around and absence of the third door in the basic configuration. Yes, in the cheapest version the luggage had to be loaded through the cabin, having folded down the front row. Optionally was available tilting rear window, as well as 3-stage automatic Borg-Warner. The reduced base compared to the Hornet and minimal rear overhang begged the engineers to create a unique suspension, but they simply shortened the longitudinal leaf springs from the older model, so the rolls in the corners were on the verge of safe operation. The Teague's rationale for the 2-door layout was quite reasonable. It gives us a much stronger and stiffer structure. In fact, I talked to the guys who assemble them and they said it's the strongest car we've ever built. It is a one-piece welded steel box. If it had a rear door where the gas tank filler and taillights are, it would be a less stiff car. As they say, neither add nor subtract. The Gremlin debuted in 1970 and came with a choice of 2 inline-sixes, a base 3.3-litre with 128 horsepower and a senior engine, with an increased volume of 3.8 litres and 145 horsepower. Together with an 80-litre gas tank, it gave the tiny city car weighing 1,194 kilograms satisfactory dynamics and more than decent mileage without refueling. Yes, it was heavier than Beetle, a little longer and noticeably wider, but at the same time it had a smaller turning radius, a large volume of the interior and some luggage compartment. Asked for the most empty configuration of only $1,879, while the price for Chevrolet Vega started at $2,090. Buyers liked the car. It was fast, quite economical by American standards and as simple as a bird feeder made of a plastic bottle. And the original exterior definitely played not the last role. In 1971, the Gremlin anticipated the Detroit trend of all show, no go when the Gremlin X version appeared. For $300 extra, customers got a slightly richer interior, contrasting stripes on the sides, and 14-inch wheels of their own design. with Goodyear polygless tires. Although the maximum available displacement of the six-cylinder engine has been increased to 4.2 litres, its potential due to the reduced compression ratio remains virtually the same. And although the X lettering itself had no effect on speed or performance, the audience was in for a treat. After the transition to the SAE, Society of Automotive Engineers, power calculation standard, engine output dropped to 110 HP for the 3.8-litre and 4.2-litre engines, respectively. The status quo had to be restored by all available means, and since in the American car industry the most available means of increasing the number of people under the hood is to increase the working volume of the engine, the miniature compact turned into a Corvette. For the poor, having an optional 150 horsepower V8 with a volume of 304 cubic inches, or 5 litres. Poor. Recall the era we are talking about. For example, in 1976, Cadillac's 8.2-litre big block, which was installed in 6-metre full-size cars, could boast only 190 horsepower. So the power of the original small car was at quite a decent level for the 70s. In addition, the manual gearbox received synchronizers on all gears, and the supplier of automatics from now on was Mopa, which kindly provided its famous torque flight. In 1973 came into force NHTSA regulation. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, required the bumpers to withstand a 5 miles per hour frontal impact and a 2.5 miles per hour rear impact without damage. The requirement was met, and the car grew in length by 10-odd inches. Denim interior trim, a collaboration with Levi's, was also available. Yes, for fire safety reasons denim was artificial, but this unpleasant moment was more than compensated by textured pockets on door, cards and rivets on seats, referring to the most American pants in the world. The option was very warmly welcomed on the market, which, against the background of the oil crisis that broke out at the end of the year, added sales to the already popular AMC Compact. The nuts in the legislation were gradually being tightened. Hookworms from NHTSA obliged to have bumpers at the same height and to digest a collision at the same speed, but at different angles. The green agenda was also reflected in emission regulations, so catalytic converters and pretzelite electronic ignition became part of the base package, and the unleaded gasoline-only sign took its place on the gas tank hatch. The list of options for the 6-cylinder versions has been extended by overdrive Laycock Normanville, which was activated by a button on the turn signal lever in third gear if the speed was above 35 miles per hour. The system was also equipped with kickdown. When the throttle was pressed, the overdrive was automatically switched off, allowing to accelerate more confidently, if this term is in principle applicable to stifled engines, which even before all these innovations did not shine hurricane dynamics. Nevertheless, in 1974 the number of cars produced exceeded by 40% the figures of 1973 and by 130% 1971. Gremlin felt like a fish in water in the new realities, bringing the company profit. In 1976, the output of the 5-litre V8 in connection with the growing hysteria around the pollution of the planet was reduced to an inexplicable 120 horsepower, and in the middle of the year the engine was removed from production due to its utter pointlessness. The 3-speed manual with overdrive was replaced by a conventional 4-speed gearbox, which had long been the standard on everything that arrived on the market from across the ocean. The next year, front disc brakes finally became part of the basic equipment, and there was a motor EA831, which was a carbureted version of the 2-litre injector inline-4 from the Porsche 924. The same 120 horsepower as the last generation V8, only without the mass of the cast-iron small block. Yes, it did not sound, yes, the style was not the same, but circumstances obliged, there was no way out. But on the 6-cylinder units of own design, single-chamber carburetors gave way to 2-chamber carburetors, which allowed to compensate at least a little for the reduction of power against the background of toughening of ecological norms. The final year in the life of the model was 1978. At the same time, a farewell GT package was released, which included a characteristic humpback hood, arch extenders, body-colored bumpers, dashboard with aluminum elements, 5-spoke wheels with a diameter of 14 inches and Goodyear tires with white letters in. All canons of classic oil cars. True, the outdated inline carbureted 4.2-litre engine developed quite uncanonical 100 forces. However, we should not forget who stood at the origin of the concept all show, no go. In total, Less than 3,000 cars with GT nameplate left the assembly shops in Kenosha. The 1979 model year lineup already included the AMC Spirit. The Gremlin continued to be produced in Mexico until 1983. Total circulation amounted to 671,475 copies. AMC Gremlin became a regular in all kinds of tops of the ugliest cars, and the volume of mockery of these compacts in the press was always off the scale, which, however, should not embarrass anyone. No one made fun of it cooler than its creators. But with minimal investment in development, this vehicle allowed the company to stay afloat in an extremely turbulent period, and hundreds of thousands of customers got the opportunity to move around not on a bicycle. Today, a vast scene has formed around AMC Gremlin, and its representatives invest tens of thousands of dollars in their projects, rolling out of the workshop's machinery for every taste, from shining chrome showstoppers to drag cars capable of winding 402 meters of asphalt on the rear slicks in a low 8 seconds. And this means only one thing: the little Gremlin continues to live, having managed to leave a bright mark in history, whatever competent journalists of respected editions may say. In conclusion, the AMC Gremlin stands as a fascinating example of American ingenuity in the automotive world. By combining the compact design of a subcompact car with the power of a V8 engine, AMC not only created a unique vehicle but also carved out a niche that appealed to a diverse range of drivers. The Gremlin's legacy continues to influence car enthusiasts and collectors today, reminding us of a time when innovation and bold ideas shaped the American automotive landscape. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of the AMC Gremlin.